السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. We continue inshallah ta'ala with our Arabic language part of our program, summer with Surah Al-Baqarah. And today, inshallah ta'ala, we will continue with lesson 7. In our last class, we just went through the text and we did the related vocabulary and also the sentences, correct? Right, that's where we stop. قُلْ خَيْرًا أَوْ اصْمُتْ. قُلْ خَيْرًا أَوْ اصْمُتْ. Right? Correct? Those who are listening online, is it loud and clear? Before we continue, we gotta get a what do you call it? A hotline for technical support. Very clear? Okay, alhamdulillah. This lesson, the focus of this lesson is the usage of Kana. That is the focus of this lesson. And we did some of the basic or some basic sentences with this word, Kana, right? Kana rajulu tabiban. The man was a doctor. And we said that Kana is the equivalent to the verb to be in English, right? In English, there is a verb to be. But when you conjugate this verb, like when you want to say he to be, you don't say he be. You say he is. You don't say she be. You say she is. So this is the equivalent to this verb. Now this is or are. Like if you say we be is going to be we are. This is different than the is and the are that we mentioned in the beginning, that there is no equivalent to it in English, in Arabic. Remember we mentioned in the beginning some words that are not present in Arabic. So if you say the teacher, the man is a teacher, you're going to say ar-rajulu mudarris. That is in between is not there in Arabic, right? There's no need for it in Arabic. This is a different is. This is the is from the verb to be. This is the is from the verb to be. And with usage, naturally you know it in your language, in English, but with usage, you're gonna understand it more. And one of the easiest way to understand a word is not by studying the theory of it, but to learn it practically from various contexts. So as we mentioned, take a Quran search, right? If you have Android, you have Quran Android, you have iPhone, the Quran app, right? Those I know can do Quran word search. You just type in the word in Arabic, kana, and type in the word yakunu, type in the word takunu, and look at all the verbs, the verses where it came up, and ponder over it. And just focus on the kana. Don't focus on all of the other words in the verse. Just look at the verse, the general meaning for context, and then focus on the kana. That's for you to do when you're reviewing and when you're studying by yourself. Kana means to be and is used to express past tense of a nominal sentence. Kana is used to express the past tense of a nominal sentence, a sentence whose subject is a noun or a pronoun, similar to was or were in English. Right? That is kana. So here we said it used to express the past tense of a nominal sentence. So this word kana and yakunu, it's used with nominal sentences. The origin of these sentences is a nominal sentence. The sentence whose subject or focus is a what? A noun. And as we will see from the examples, kana causes the predicate of the sentence to be mansub. That is, in a fatha, it takes a fatha or a fathatain by default, as we explained yesterday. And the word kana can be used in all the conjugations, meaning there's kana for he, she, right, they. You can conjugate it with everything, present tense, past tense, and the command form. Ar-rajulu kana tabiban. The man was a doctor. Or kana rajulu tabiban. At-tullabu kanu ikhwanan. The students were brothers. At-tullabu kanu ikhwanan. The students were brothers. Ya Ahmad, O Ahmad, kun sadiqan. O Ahmad, be truthful. Kun sadiqan. Be truthful. Right? And as we said, the predicate of the sentence, meaning, we know what's predicate in English. Predicate is what? The information of the sentence, the secondary part of the sentence. The primary part of the sentence, who you're talking about. You call it the subject. The secondary part of the sentence, the information about the subject, you call it the predicate, right? Just simple expression. So all of these, what the man was, what the students were, what you're commanding Ahmad to be, they all take fathatain. Kuntu muhandisan. I was an engineer. Al-mar'atu kanat mumarridatan. The woman was a nurse. La takun kadhiban. Don't be a liar. Right? All of this is review. Kana, when paired with a present tense verb, indicates a past continuous action. And this is a lot in the Quran and in the Sunnah. And it's rather this principle is used to derive principles or ruling in fiqh. When you hear a hadith, have this. Kana, when paired with a present tense verb, indicates a past continuous action. For example, Kana rajulu ya'kulu at-tamra kulla yawmin. Kana rajulu ya'kulu. Ya'kulu means what? He eats or he is eaten. Now let's ignore the kana. Ar-rajulu ya'kulu at-tamr is going to mean what? The man eats the dates, or the man is eating the dates. Now, when you put kana with this present tense verb, it's going to mean the man used to eat. The man was eating dates every day. He used to eat dates every day. Right? Kulla yawm. The man used to eat dates. The man was eating dates every day, used to eat dates every day. Something that used to happen over and over. Right? Not a one-time thing. Clear? So, for example, if you say, Ar-rajulu yusalli at-tahajjud. Everyone know what's ar-rajul, the man. Everyone know what's yusalli, he prays or he is praying. And everyone know what's tahajjud. What's tahajjud? Night prayer. Ar-rajul yusalli at-tahajjud. The man prays the night prayer. Clear? Or the man is praying the night prayer. Remember we said those two in Arabic is the same. The man prays and the man is praying is the same. What's gonna differentiate the difference with your translation or understanding in English? The context. Right? So if it's something happening right now, the man is praying. But if you're giving general information, the man prays. Tahajjud. Clear? Now if I say, Kana rajulu yusalli at-tahajjud, it's going to mean what? The man used to pray tahajjud, right? The man was praying tahajjud, meaning continuously. Now when you're going to translate it, the man used to pray tahajjud. That's general, ongoing action that used to happen. The man was praying tahajjud. You're going to translate like that if it is in the context of something specific, right? If it was in the context of something specific. Note, the word kana can be used to indicate continuity, meaning, right? All here we're dealing with kana. We're not dealing with meaning the past tense form of the verb, right? The past tense form of the verb. So remember, kana means what? Something that happened in the past, right? Something that happened in the past. And here we're saying the word kana can be used to indicate continuity, meaning it was and still is. It was and still is. And this usage is common in the Quran. For example, Allah's statement, وَكَانَ اللَّهُ عَزِيزًا حَكِيمًا. Literally it means what? Allah was, kana, azizan, mighty, hakima, wise. Mighty and wise. Now if I say the man was a doctor, what it indicates? He's no longer a doctor. He resigned or he get fired or something. Now when we say Allah was mighty and wise, does it mean he's no longer is? No. It used to show continuity, meaning Allah was mighty and wise and he still is mighty and wise. He never ceased from being mighty and wise. And that there is stronger in a sense than saying Allah is mighty and wise. Why? Because you're establishing or you're emphasizing the presence of that attribute in the past and still present, ongoing. Understand? You're emphasizing. If you say Allah is mighty and wise, it's general. Right? There's no indication to anything specific. But we all know that Allah's name and attribute as a general principle, His names and attributes are all divine and eternal. Right? They're always there, never cease to exist. That's something we know of Allah. But if we take the example with something else, what this give? What extra meaning does it give? It emphasizes the presence of that act, of that trait in the past, and it being present at the moment. Understand? Remember, Allah with His names and attributes have different rulings pertaining to it. Right? We're not going to go into depth with in that. We studying it from the linguistic part of the statement, right? So someone can say, when you say Allah is Ghafur Rahim, it's obvious that He was and He still is. That is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when it comes to others, it's not obvious. Clear? So someone can take this verse and say Allah was, so that means He is not. Why? Because the language, what it means, He was and He still is. Similarly, Allah's statement, وَكَانَ الشَّيْطَانُ لِرَبِّهِ كَفُورًا. And shaitan was, kana, لِرَبِّهِ, to his Lord, kafura, ungrateful. Does it mean that shaitan was ungrateful, now he is grateful? No, he was ungrateful and he is still ungrateful. So let's give you the extra meaning of showing what? This is something ongoing with shaitan from the past until now. Now what is going to tell you that this is going to differentiate for you that this thing was in the past and is ongoing? For example, if I was to say the man was a doctor, what's going to make you know, did I mean the man was a doctor and still is? Or I'm telling you the man was a doctor and he's no longer is? Context, right? Context. So for example, let's say we are speaking about a doctor in the presence of the doctor, and we both know that he is a doctor. And I was to say, هذا الرجل كان طبيبا. This man was a doctor. What I'm telling you, meaning it's not that he's now a doctor. He was a doctor in the past, right? And he's still a doctor because he is still acting as a doctor. Clear? Context. Means shaitan was and still ungrateful, as we mentioned. Right? So these are the main uses of kana. And as we come across more and more texts, we're going to highlight them. Now let's go back, before we continue, let's go back to the verse. Remember we said, Man kana aduwan li Jibril, whoever was an enemy to Jibril. And we say, it means whoever is an enemy. Now we understand why. Because Allah is not going to punish you if you was an enemy and you cease to be an enemy. You accept Islam and no longer an enemy. Right? Because if you take the verse literal, anyone who was an enemy to Jibril, let's say a Jew accepted Islam today and yesterday he was an enemy to Jibril, with the previous understanding or the limited, shallow understanding, we're going to say this man still is an enemy to Allah because he was an enemy to Jibril. And the verse is saying, once you are an enemy to Jibril, you're in trouble. So what the verse mean? You are an enemy and you're still an enemy. So when Allah say, Man kana aduwwan li Jibril, whoever was an enemy to Jibril, meaning he was and he still is. Now why didn't Allah say whoever is an enemy to Jibril? Because this enmity they had for Jibril was something ongoing from the past. It's not nothing new. So he gave us two benefits. Show that they were enemies to Jibril all the time, and they still is an enemy to Jibril, and we know Allah is going to deal with them. Clear? Right? So the translation now becomes clear. How it was, and then we translate is, we understand. Will the rule of the predicate I'm not sure which example you're talking about. You can just note it or write out the example. And just note, if you're online, your question is delayed because there's a delay. So by the time you type the question, wherever I was, I would have already passed it. I think there's a few seconds delay with the streaming. Okay. Any questions? Clear? Okay. Zachariah, clear? Huh? We gotta get a rule. If you're not married, no phone in the class. Or we should, what do you think, doctor? Good. If you're not married, no phone in the class. Or for these young boys. Or if you were never married, so include the older brothers. We're gonna put the doctor in charge. Any of the young boys with their phone, the doctor gonna doctor them. Okay. Study the following examples. Compare the effects of inna and kana. So with this lesson, no one should mix up the ending of the verses. We did inna before, right? When we did means of emphasis. Inna has the opposite effect of kana. Inna makes the subject mansub, meaning it takes fatha as a default. Kana makes the predicate mansub, meaning the information mansub, meaning the information takes fatha. So for example, we have the sentence, Allahu alimun hakim. Allahu alimun hakim, right? There's a ya missing there. Make sure to add it. Allahu alimun hakim. Allah is knowledgeable, wise. Allah is knowledgeable, wise. Meaning Allah is knowledgeable and unwise. Now, if you emphasize it with inna, you're going to say, instead of Allahu, inna Allaha alimun hakim. Inna Allaha alimun hakim. Indeed, verily, surely Allah is knowledgeable, wise. Kana Allahu. If we put kana, lafzul jalala, the word Allah is going to remain dhamma. Kana Allahu aliman hakima. Allahu ghafurun rahim. Allah is forgiving, merciful. Inna Allaha ghafurun rahim. But with kana Allahu ghafuran rahima. Allahu afuun. Allah is pardoning. Inna Allaha afuun. Kana Allahu afuwan. Allahu wasi'un hakim. Allah is bountiful and wise. Wasi'un. Right? All of these words are in Surah Al-Baqarah. Right? Wasi'un means bountiful. Literally wide, meaning wide in his expansive, in his bounty and his wealth and his dominion, his sustenance. Right? Allah is not narrow in his means and his provision. In Allahu wasi'un hakim, wise. Inna Allaha wasi'un. Kana Allahu wasi'an. Allahu sami'. Allah is ever hearing, complete in his hearing. Inna Allaha sami'. Kana Allahu sami'an. Allahu qawiyyun aziz. Allah is strong, mighty. Inna Allaha qawiyyun aziz. Kana Allahu qawiyyan azizan. Allahu bima ta'maluna khabir. Allah bima, of what, with what, ta'malun, you are doing, khabir, well aware, knowledgeable. Right? Allah is knowledgeable, well aware of what you are doing. If you say inna Allaha bima ta'maluna khabir. You put kana Allahu bima ta'maluna khabira. And if you check the verses where there is inna, khabir is dhamma. Where there is kana, khabir is fathatain. Right? Khabir means has detailed knowledge and awareness. Allahu bi kulli shay'in alim. Allah with everything is knowledgeable. Inna Allaha bi kulli shay'in alim. Kana Allahu bi kulli shay'in alima. Right? Why alima? Because of the kana. Allahu ala kulli shay'in qadir. Inna Allaha ala kulli shay'in qadir. Kana Allahu ala kulli shay'in qadira. Clear? Exercise. Okay. Add kana and inna to the sentences below. So the first one inna, second one kana. Let's do it together, everyone. So al-baytu ba'idun, the house is far. Inna, we're going to say inna al-bayta ba'idun. Verily the house is far, surely indeed. Kana al-baytu ba'idan. Al-asiru hulwun. The fruit, the juice is sweet. Inna al-asira hulwun. Kana al-asiru hulwan. As-sayyaratu jamilatun. The car is beautiful. Inna as-sayyarata jamilatun. Kana as-sayyaratu jamilatan. Al-makanu nadhifun. The place is clean. Inna al-makana nadhifun. Kana al-makanu nadhifan. Al-ma'u baridun. The water is cold. Inna al-ma'a baridun. Kana al-ma'u baridan. Al-jawu harun. Muhammad, this one for you. Innal jaw. Innal jawwa harun. What's your name again? Shapur? I got it right? Kana al-jaw. Kana al-jaw wu haran. Zakaria. Inna Muhammadun Saghirun. Muhammad is small. If you say inna, it's going to be inna. Inna Muhammad. Ibrahim. Huh? Inna Muhammadan Saghirun. Kana Muhammadun Saghiran. Al-Fakihatu ladhithun. The fruit is delicious. Inna al-Fakiha ta ladhithun. Kana al-Fakiha tu ladhithan. Ad-daftaru jadidun. The notebook is new. Inna ad-dafta ra. Jadidun kana ad-dafta ru. Jadidan. Al-jannatu kabiratun. The garden is big. Inna al-jannata kabirun. Kana al-jannatu kabiratan. Right? Write out all of it. Tashkil it fully. And if the words are new, memorize them. Right? Memorize them. Don't just understand it. Memorize it. So you write, for example, al-baytu ba'idun, inna al-bayta ba'idun, kana al-baytu ba'idan, and memorize it. Al-baytu ba'idun, inna al-bayta ba'idun, kana al-baytu ba'idan, inna al-bayta ba'idun, kana al-baytu ba'idan, and memorize it like that. Right? So you program your brain with the concept. So when you want to express yourself, you don't have to think much. Now let's go back one more time to the passage. So we have قل, say, man kana aduwan li Jibril. Whoever, literally, whoever was an enemy to Jibril, whoever was and still is an enemy to Jibril. فَإِنَّهُ نَزَّلَهُ عَلَى قَلْبِكَ بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ مُصَدِّقًا لِمَا بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ. For indeed he نَزَّلَهُ sent it down عَلَى قَلْبِكَ upon your heart بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ with the permission of Allah. مُصَدِّقًا, right, testifying, confirming the truthfulness lima of what? Baina yadayhi, what is before it. Meaning the scriptures that were before it. Now this word baina yadayhi was given some problem yesterday. Who was given problem to? Everyone? Okay, let's deal with this word one more time. There's the easy way and the hard way. We're going to do the easy way and then try explain the hard way. You can still hear me, right? Okay, you gotta. We still have our work here. Now you put that aside. All right, start fresh. Okay. The easy way to understand Baina Yadai. We have baina means between. Baina means between. Let's take some between examples. Al-masjidu baina baiti. What's baiti? My house. Baina baiti wa al-madrasa. Right? Al-masjidu baina baiti wal madrasa. The masjid is between my house and the school. Right? Baina baiti wal madrasa. First example. Need to write it? Right, you can always go back to the YouTube and get it. Or you take a modern note. Let's take another example. Baiti. What's baiti? Baiti. Baina. Baina Jabalain. What's Jabalain? Two mountains. My house is between two mountains. Baiti, Baina Jabalain. Right? My house is between two mountains. I think you understand between. Or you always understand, right? Kuntu fahiman. Where's kuntu fahiman? Right? So we can move up. We can move up. You can look for it later. Now the next part, yada. Now this in detail is going to come later on. The dual. We know in Arabic there is dual, right? Two. My two hands, how we end up with. What's two hands is yadani, but my two hands you're going to say yadaya, right? Or yadaya. We're going to deal with that later on. But we just want to understand baina yadai. Now, we have a few words. We have yadaya means my two hands. Yadaika means your two hands. Just don't worry right now how you get this. Just learn this just like that. Yadaya, my two hands. Yadaka, yadaika, your two hands. Or your hands, right? Your two hands. You can say your two hands or you can say your hands. If you say your hands, it's correct, because unless you have more than two hands, you're going to be confusing someone. Right? So in a case like this, you don't need to specify, but we just for the language. Yadaika, yadai, and then we have yadaihi in the verse. Yadaihi means his two hands or his hands. Right? Clear? His two hands or his hands. It going good so far? Don't worry right now how we end up with this. Just know that's the word for two hands, my hands, your hands, and his hands. Right? When you're learning, child growing up, that's all they know. Mommy said it like this and they repeat it. Or daddy said it like, or they hear it like this and they repeat it. They don't ever ask why he is and not she, and she is and she were. Later on, when you start to confuse them, then they start asking things. Correct? We going good so far? Now, if we put the two words together, baina, let's start with yadaika. Baina yadaik. Baina yadaik literally means what? Between your two hands. Between your two hands. Now this statement, what it means? It means between your two hands. That's one of the meaning. So right now, that book is between your two hands. Right? It's literally between your two hands. If you want to say this pen is between my two hands, you put it between your two hands. Literal meaning is correct. Between your two hands. Now we know in every language, in English, in Arabic, and Allah knows best, but most likely every language, there is figurative statements. Right? There are figurative statements. Statements that generally reflect a reality is used for a next meaning. Right? And it can be figurative from different angles, whether it's a metaphor, simile, onomatopoeia, personification. Right? You got to go back to your English class. All those meaning. Right? Figurative from somehow. So when something is between your two hands, why is it technically? It's in front of you. So the Arabs, they use this statement to mean in front of you. You understand? They use the statement to mean in front of you. So even if it's not literally between your two hands, but it's in front of you. So for example, I say, all of you, baina yaday. Right? You're all between my two hands. You're literally fitting between my two hands. No, you're in front of me. Right? The famous book, Al-Arabiya, baina yadayk. Al-Arabiya, baina yadayk. Right? Arabic between your hands, or Arabic in front of you. So, baina with any one of these things. Right? Baina with any one of these things. Let's pull all of these here. Put baina here. Right? You're not going to erase and write back. So, baina with any one of these in front of, baina yaday going to be in front of me. Baina yadayk in front of you. Baina yadayhi in front of him or it. Clear? Right? Just know that's the meaning. In front. Front is one or two word? Huh? Hyphenated. Agreed upon? I think it's agreed upon. Clear? in front of. Baina yadayya, in front of me. Baina yadayk, in front of you. Baina yadayhi, in front of him. Or it can literally have the literal meaning. Between your two hands, between my two hands, between his two hands. Right? Between its two hands. Possible? What it has two hands? The clock, there are three hands. We going good so far? Right? Because this word caused confusion yesterday, online and in person. I hope the ones online, they online today too. How many time we have? Okay. How many time or how much time? In Arabic, what we say? Say how many? Kamisa. How many hours? Right? We going good so far? Now, the next, so in front of. The next meaning, just we're keeping it simple, can mean in front of, or what's the translation in the verse? Before? Before it. Or it can mean in front of or before it with regards to time. In front of or before it with regards to time. So if we say before it, that which is before it, when we use this meaning, we're talking what? Time. We're talking time. Just know that this word baina yaday can mean in front of with regards to anything. Or it can mean before with regards to time. It can't mean before physically. Because physically, you can't be standing behind the person's back and then you say he's between your two hands. Right? But with regards to time, something happened yesterday, you can say it happened baina yaday. Clear? Just know that there's the expression in Arabic. Clear? Right? It's easy to just know that this is it. Now how? That is where you can start confusing yourself. And we try to explain it slightly how yesterday, but I think we should leave it like that. Maybe Abu Awzai cover it in the tafsir. We have, okay, we're gonna, any questions? If there's no questions, we're gonna pause there, inshallah. So you can have, your brains can air out for the tafsir. Okay, that's the easiest way. The easiest way, just know is this. The how, why, right? Right now, what is it? Al-Iman bihi, wajib. And su'al anhu, right now. La yajuz. All right. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.